Ain't gonna bring it out. We all need to talk about it. Any problem, every situation. We gotta know the truth. So maybe you can help with the problem I'm facing. You ain't gonna heal till you keep it on the real. Yeah, that's even to the most high. And you ain't never gonna know if it's really gonna work if you don't try. Come on, come on, come on.
Tonight. Excited about the show for tonight. You're listening to Off the DL with your host, DL Augustine. Welcome, everybody. Glad to see you. Glad to know you're out there. I just want to say shout out to my friends in Detroit. I appreciate your support, and we'll talk later. Tonight's topic is going to be really interesting because it's something that I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it in the context that we're going to talk about it tonight. And the topic is going to be legacy. And, you know, I heard a young man preach a sermon and he talked about legacy. And a legacy, I'm just going to kind of go over what a legacy is about: life and living. It's about learning from the past and living in the present and building the future. The definition of legacy is, if you were to look up the word legacy, is like a gift or a bequest or something endowed or conveyed from one person to another. It's something discernible that one comes into possession of, that is transmitted or inherited or received from a predecessor. You know, a legacy is a story of someone's life, the things they did, places they went, goals they accomplished, and their failures and more. Legacy is something that a person leaves behind to be remembered by. And that started to really creep into my conscience when I heard this young man preach this word about legacy. Legacies are pathways that guide people in decisions that they need to make, or helps them to know what to do or what not to do. By wanting to leave a mark and create a legacy, you help that generation coming behind you. Martin Luther King Jr. left his legacy of positive and selfless actions, while on the other hand, Adolf Hitler left a legacy of negativity and destruction. Both are equally important in setting examples for the future so that they can behave the same way. So what you do affects the generation behind you. And that's a scary or an exciting thing, depending on what you're doing. But tonight, we want to take this topic off the DL because I want to prick your conscience like mine has been pricked, so that you will begin to understand and to know that what you do affects the generation behind you. And so maybe then it will help you to orchestrate and to make better decisions on what we're doing. So if our conscience are pricked. So to help us with this topic tonight, we have a very special guest. And I love this family. I do. I love this family, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I do. We have Lisa Early. She is with the Joseph L. Early Foundation. And we're going to talk about the foundation and how it relates to legacy. So right now, I just want to introduce you to Lisa. Lisa Early.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening.
I'm glad to have you here. I really am. I really am. Lisa and I know each other. Actually, we met through her mother. Her mother is a wonderful woman. Her mother's name is Gloria Early. And she is actually, I'm going to tell you how wonderful or how much I think of this woman. I'm an author, for those of you who don't know. I have a book out called The Josiah Effect, where I named one of the main characters in the book, Gloria Early, after her mother.
I love it.
I
She
did.
does it too.
Her mother is someone that just her genuineness and her realness and her dedication to selfless acts of compassion just kind of touched me. And she reminded, and I built a character around her. I really did. So that's how much her mother affected me just by being who she was. She didn't do anything big or outstanding. She was just who she was, and I admired her. So I do admire your mother and your family. And their foundation is called the Joseph L. Early Foundation, and it's named after Lisa's brother and Gloria Early's son, who is now passed away. And that kind of, made me think about legacy. When I thought about, all the things that your mom shared with me of what he did and then how the foundation came to be formed and what you guys do. So we're going to kind of slide into, I want you to kind of tell me, first of all, who is your brother, Joseph L. Early? Tell me about him.
Before I tell you about my brother, I heard something very profound this week
Okay.
that kind of leads into legacy and then kind of laying the foundation to talk a little bit about my brother. I was listening to CBS this morning, and they were talking, there was a gentleman who was talking about, of course, dearly departed Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yes.
He was a legend.
He was.
And a giant.
He was.
A humanitarian, and he did so much for others.
He did.
Outside of
a lot of people didn't know that.
Associate with him with boxing.
Yeah.
But he did so much for people. He loved people. He loved his community. He loved family.
I didn't know that,
he
honestly.
Did so much.
I did not know that. I
he
found
was
that out after
humanitarian.
That's what they say.
Quite a legacy. And so one of his friends said, "Don't cry because he's gone, but smile because he lived."
Wow, I love that.
And that resonated with me.
I love that.
That's
powerful.
Don't cry because he's gone, but smile because he lived. And I think that especially when we lose a loved one, people get so caught up in the grief of that person's presence physically not being here.
Yes, I agree.
And so it helped me because even though my brother's been gone for 3 years, and I've gone on because that's what he would want us to do.
Exactly.
But you still, it's like you still have a hole in your heart.
Yeah.
And you still miss that person's presence.
Absolutely.
But if you think about not crying because they're gone, but smiling because they've lived, and think about all of the things that they've left behind.
Yes.
All of the fond memories.
Yes.
The love, the just everything that they did, that kind of helps you think about all of the good things that those individuals did while they were yet living on this side.
Absolutely.
And so that being said, with my brother, I'm the oldest of the early tribe out of all of my siblings. And Joey and I were actually the oldest too.
Okay.
He and I were a year and a day apart.
Oh, wow.
So
a year and a day.
We were only one day. And in fact, if my mom had him a few hours earlier, we would have been born on the same day.
Oh, wow.
So I love all of my siblings, but my brother had a particularly special place in my heart because when we were growing up, my mother dressed us alike.
Okay.
We were the same height.
Like you were twins.
Like we were twins. And so she dressed us alike. We went everywhere together, and, we were two peas in a pod.
Okay.
And so he called me Mama Lisa, and that kind of ran over into our adult life. And so we really, really, and in fact, my siblings, we have the same heart in terms of we have a heart for people.
Right. I see that.
And we want to give back in any way that we can.
How many siblings do you have?
We have, I have 2 brothers, Joey and Brian.
Okay.
And then I have 3 sisters, Jennifer, Racina, and Heather.
Okay.
And so, and all of us have been involved in community, and we've been engaged in our community at different levels. I have one sister who is currently serving as a foster parent.
Okay.
Then I have two other sisters that are very engaged in, one in Eastern Star and community service with Eastern Star, and the other one with her church with Holy Rosary and different things and they're always doing community service projects. And I'm a part of a public service organization myself, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. I've been a part of Delta for nearly 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's a public service organization. And my brother Brian had a youth football team. He's coached youth sports for many years. And so, like I said, my sister Racina is serving as a foster parent. So we're always doing things with the community and particularly with young people. And Joey, he lived the majority of his adult life in Buffalo.
Okay.
In Buffalo, New York. And while he was in Buffalo, you know, he was always talking about these kids, you know, they need somebody to help them. You know, they need something to do with their time.
Mm-hmm.
And so he opened up like a youth rec center.
Okay.
In Niagara Falls, just on the other side of Buffalo. He and a couple of his friends, they opened up a little rec center and they helped kids with homework, with homework help. They taught the children how to play chess.
Oh, wow.
Because particularly children of color don't know how to play chess.
Absolutely.
And if you think about chess is about skill and strategy.
It is. And I, just to jump in, I think that is excellent because the game of chess teaches you how to strategize and how to think. And it translates into life.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just for the game.
Right.
Chess translates into life. If you can think 3, 5, 6 moves ahead, you can, on that board, you can actually do that in life.
Yes.
So that is, I think they ought to do that in all public schools.
Absolutely.
I really
do. Absolutely. And so because of that, he and his partners, you know, in addition to helping the children with homework, they taught them how to play chess. They taught them to tap into their God-given skills, whatever that is. If if you're singing, if you play an instrument, you know, whatever it is that you do it well.
Yes.
And do it with your whole heart.
Yes.
And that's kind of like what they were teaching the children. And then, you know, my brother, he, even though at the time of his passing, he was still, you know, on paper, he was still married. But he and his wife had been living apart. She was living in New York and he was living in Ohio. He was raising the youngest children. Oh. By himself.
Oh, wow.
So he was a single parent.
Right. And I think I met his daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
His daughter,
beautiful
she
young
just
woman.
Graduated.
Beautiful
from high school, and she's going to be starting school in the fall. So,
how old was he when he opened up this rec center?
He was in his early 30s, like 30, 31.
And you know, a 30-something-year-old man, and you know, Early, I can just say this: the Earlys, they're a good-looking clan. That's all I'm going to tell you. They are the good-looking clan. Okay, this was a good-looking man. I met him, and he's, you know, and he could at 30-something-year-olds. Where are most 30-something-year-old good-looking men? They're out there doing their thing.
Streets.
They're not thinking about legacy. They're not thinking about trying to reach back and pull the other young men. And in our communities, our African-American communities, that is so desperately needed.
Absolutely.
So desperately needed. So I really admire him for his dedication to our people. So, but continue with what you were saying.
So, so he and his friends, they started this rec center, and they were so proud, and they really impacted. In fact, when he moved back to the city of Buffalo, and then was transitioning his move back to, due to health reasons, back to Ohio, they were very, very disappointed. You know,
wow.
Like, you know, because they're when everybody kind of like went their separate ways. And what happens all too often is when you start a good thing, a lot of times people aren't willing to take the responsibility to pick up
the mantle.
Yes. If you pass the baton, they drop it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen happen so many times, not just with things that we've done as my family, but just even in the workplace.
I totally agree. And I think that's why the show is so important today, because it's like somebody's got to pick up the mantle.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and somebody goes, we have different callings, and it might have been his calling just to plant that seed.
Absolutely.
Somebody else needed to water it,
Right.
and somebody else needs to harvest it.
Right.
But if somebody in the chain breaks and doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then the seed dies. So, and you see that too often.
And it happens all too often. And
It does.
It's really, really needed, and particularly in our community.
Yes, absolutely.
When you look at the numbers are just alarming. In Ohio, over 70% of African American children are being raised in single parent homes.
Right.
That's not to say that if you're raised in a single parent home that you're destitute.
Right. That's true too.
That's not what I'm suggesting. But we can all agree that if there are two incomes,
Yes.
the likelihood that you have access because of more resources,
Yes.
certainly
That's simple math.
it makes a big
Mhm.
difference. So if you have a child that comes from a one parent home with one income, he or she is not going to have access in most cases to a lot of the things that the children who are come from a two parent home.
That's
And
true.
access. So
And again, we want to reiterate,
resources.
we're not talking in absolutes.
Right.
We just want to reiterate that.
Right.
We don't want anyone to think we're talking about all children that come from single parent homes.
We came from a single parent home for
Okay.
the most part
Okay.
because my mom and dad actually were divorced when we were
Right.
very small. So my family is blended. My
Yeah.
mom and dad they married very young. They
Yes.
had me and Joey.
Yes.
They divorced. My mom remarried, had other children. My dad remarried,
Yes.
had other children. So for the majority of our life, my parents remarried after 39 years of being apart.
Your mom actually shared that
Yeah,
story with
so
me.
so we're in no way saying. I mean, I have friends who are 6-figure income and they're single parents.
Yes.
Whether it was divorce or whatever the case may be, they have PhDs and they're taking care of their kids and they're doing fine. So I'm not suggesting, however, growing up in a single parent home myself, I realized the impact of our lives, it had on our lives and how much different our lives would have been had we had access
Absolutely.
and the resources to do more. In fact, when I went away to college, I had to work the whole time that I was in college
Mhm.
because my mom didn't have the financial
Right.
resources. So, but I don't want to get off topic, but I was kind of talking about, I guess, bringing that up about just to further discuss the fact that not everyone from a single parent home is destitute.
Exactly.
But the reason why the foundation focuses on single parent is because we came from a single parent
Mhm.
home, and my brother was a single parent.
Right.
And a lot of times when people think of single parents, they think of the majority of the single parent families are headed by females.
Mhm.
However, there are a lot of men out here who
There
are
are.
doing it alone also, and they
I know
seem to
that.
be overlooked.
That's absolutely true. I know that to be true because my husband and I have been married for almost 30 years. But when I met him, he was a single parent with 2 daughters.
Mhm.
My children were young teenagers. His children were like 3 and 5.
Mhm.
And so when I met him and he told me, that he was a single parent, I was like, well, who, and he had 2 girls. I was like, well, who does their hair? He says, I do.
Mhm.
And I'm like, really? I said, and he says, yeah, he says, it's just me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I married him, because he actually was just like me, a
Mhm.
real single parent, like you have to do everything.
Right.
Everything is on me.
Right.
It's like their hair, their lunch. I
Right.
have to come home, fix dinner. I got to help them with their homework.
Mhm.
And he was doing all that. So that to me, because any man can write a check
Absolutely.
and we would give him credit for that. And we do,
Mhm.
it's like in a situation, but here's a man who knew that his children were not in a good situation.
Mhm.
And it's like he could have, to salve his conscience, he could have just did the child support check and called it a day, went and got him on the weekends. But he was like, no, I'm not going to let my children be raised
Mhm.
in this environment. And he went and did what a real man, in my opinion, would
Absolutely.
do: stand up and handle it yourself. So
And it's admirable. I mean,
it is.
because I think that unfortunately in today's society, men get a bad rap.
They do.
People
They
were
do.
so quick to say in society, that all, men are this way and men are that way. And, we don't. So to me, I think it's important when you see people doing what they're supposed to do and then some.
Yeah, and then some.
And then some, they need to be recognized
I
and
agree.
applauded for doing
I
that.
agree, absolutely.
And Joey, when he became a single parent home, and it wasn't easy. He had to fight to get custody. But unfortunately in society, courts favor the women.
They do.
And so that's very telling
Mhm.
when a man gets custody of his children.
That's true.
And
That's
so,
true.
but he was a very engaged father.
I'm going to put you on hold for a minute.
Okay.
Looks like we have a caller. Let me just go this line, even though we haven't opened up the lines yet. So let's see who's on the line.
Okay.
Caller, you're listening to Off the DL. How can I help you?
Hi, I was just calling in regards to a lot of stuff going on the show today, and I just want to say that I'm just so happy that there's somebody out here that's really just talking about what's going on and stuff, kind of like that we don't want to talk about.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that first and foremost.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
First and foremost, I appreciate that, and then too with the way the grimness and the ugliness and the darkness that we're seeing every single day out here on the street. This issue is it's grave. It's grave. Something has to be done. And it starts with your legacy and what you want to leave here and what we're pouring in to what's going on out here.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's like we're not going to do anything about it if we're not conscious that we're responsible for it.
Exactly. And everybody, it's moved from all the way outside to, wow, it actually can happen to me now. And yet still, it's like you don't want to, it's like you want to stick your head in the sand. And we can't do that anymore.
No, we cannot. We cannot afford to do that anymore. I totally agree with you, caller.
So I just want to say once again that I just appreciate you just kind of opening this thing up and I just wanted you to know how it relates. The legacy relates to what's going on right now every single day. 2 more people shot today on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah. I know.
It's too much. So I just appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Carl. And actually, Mr. Early would like to address something that you said. Go ahead, Mr. Early.
And thank you so much for calling in, because I really, really appreciate your feedback, ma'am. Because it's going to take a collective effort of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, what happens is people have become desensitized.
Yes, they have.
To the violence.
Yes, they have.
Unless it comes down their street.
That's right.
And then hits their family, then all of a sudden everybody.
Now let's look at what's going on here.
Absolutely.
The
And we have to be concerned. We have to be concerned about the violence, and we have to do something.
Yes.
The community members, all of us need to come together. We need to rally to get together with the churches, and we
Yes,
really need
I
to
agree.
take back our streets, because our babies are dying.
Our babies are dying.
And that is our future.
And at this point, it's almost like it's inevitable that it will reach one of the 3 of us that are speaking.
Absolutely.
That is so
Violence
true.
has
But so
already
the ones
reached
that are
my
listening.
family.
Really?
I have a cousin that was murdered, and one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Random act of violence, home invasion.
Oh, wow.
Somebody broke in his house, looking to rob because they were on drugs. Shot him and killed him instantly.
Wow.
So I know, because it has hit my family, but when people see it on the news, you can feel empathy all you want, but unless you're doing something
Yes.
to impact it,
That's right.
you're basically being a spectator.
Yeah, that's
And
absolutely
we're
right.
almost-
Exactly what's happening. Spectator is
we're being
the
a
best
spectator.
word I could ever think of
Yeah.
for what's going on
That
right
is a
now.
spectator. That is a great way to say
Myself
that.
included, I could do better.
Yes.
So- and
So I
so we
challenge
have to
everyone out there that's listening
Yep.
to evaluate what they're doing, their actions. Are you a
Absolutely.
part of the problem, or are you a part
Yes.
of the solution?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a
Amen.
call out.
Amen.
That's a call out. And
Amen.
honestly, I have to say, I haven't done what I could do. I've just really become conscious that I need to do more. How you do some things, but it's like I have like a consciousness now about this legacy thing. And it doesn't just apply to my family. It's not just I need to leave a legacy for my children and my children's children. Yes, I need to do that. But what about my community? What about my people?
They have to live in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Am I my brother's keeper?
Yes.
Yes, I am. I absolutely am my brother's keeper.
Absolutely.
And that's all tied to legacy.
That's all tied to legacy. You're absolutely correct. And once again, that is why I appreciate this conversation being brought out to the
Well,
forefront.
we appreciate you calling, caller.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
All right,
so
thank
much.
you.
God
God
bless
bless.
you. And when I went to, I attended a luncheon in February with my sorority, and our national president, she said that her grandmother talked about the dash.
The dash.
When you go to the cemetery and you have the date that you were born,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
have the dash, and you have the day that you died. Yes, when we were born, we're babies. We can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then, of course, once we've passed on, we can't do anything. But that dash,
Yeah.
if everybody thinks about what they can do with that dash,
Oh, I like that.
that's all about.
That's
leaving a
powerful
legacy.
right there. Yes, I love that.
Leaving a legacy.
Yes,
And then
the dash.
The dash.
The
When you
dash.
think about that dash.
Yes,
What I'm going
that
to do.
is
What am I
powerful.
going to do with my dash?
What am I going to do
And
with
we
my
all,
dash?
even though collectively we all have to make an impact in the community at large, but individually, there are some things we have to do collectively, but individually, if we think, like she said, like the caller said, I got to think about what I can do.
Yeah.
You think about what
There
you
you
can
go.
do. I think about what I do. You think about what and we'll all do our part.
Yes.
And then this, and speaking of legacy, and I promise I'm going to get back to my
No,
brother
it's great.
foundation.
Follow it.
I was, and I believe his name is Kip Moore. He's a country singer.
Okay.
And he started, he is going around to different urban areas and opening up like little mini skateboarding
Really?
ramps. And like a lot of people, we think of suburbia when we think of skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
But it's summertime and kids have a lot of idle time if they're
They
not
do.
working, and if we find things that interest them. And so we
Yes.
started community members partnering with him and opening
Okay.
these, and these kids are loving it. And so he said, it's important for me to just do my part.
Yes.
He said, and if everybody just says, if I could just do my part, he said, I challenge everybody, just do your part.
Just do your part.
Just do your part, whatever
Yes.
that is. And I think that we really need to embrace that, because we have a responsibility individually and collectively to
Yes.
make a difference in the lives of others.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's not going to matter what kind of car we drove,
That's
how
right.
big of a house we
That's
lived
right.
in, how much money we made, but what really is going to matter is, did you make the difference in the lives of others?
That's absolutely
That's
right.
what matters at the end
That's
of the day.
absolutely right. And you know what? I think most people feel like, well, I want to do something. I just don't know what to do, or I don't.
Just ask.
Exactly.
All you have to do is
and
ask.
basically, just the first step.
Mhm.
Just take a step. Just
Mhm.
do something.
Do
It-
something.
and as you go, you'll figure it out. But it's like, as long as you sit on your couch or you sit and you just, and now today, you're responsible for the words that you've heard.
Mhm.
Your conscience has been pricked
Mhm.
as of today.
Mhm.
So what will you do with this information? The same position that I am in, my conscience has been pricked.
Mhm.
When I heard the young man preach that, it's like from that point on, it's not left me. I'm like, ooh, it made me feel uncomfortable. I'm hoping it's making you feel uncomfortable if you're not doing your part.
Right.
And we go back to our part. It's like, it may seem overwhelming, but it's like, if we all just did our part, then it's not so big, because you don't have to do the whole thing.
Mhm.
You just got to do your part, whatever that is, whatever that is.
Right.
So right now, what we're going to do, this is great conversation. We're going to go to break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the foundation that you have started
Okay.
on behalf of your brother.
All right.
All right.
Sounds
So we're
good.
going to go to break, callers, and listening audience, we will be back. So stay tuned.
Thank you. I love this. This is amazing.
Delivered, I found joy. Grace and favor. I've been changed. In the presence of the Lord, I've been free, delivered. And in your presence, Lord, I found joy. Grace and favor. And right now, today, I've been changed. I've been changed. And I have waited for this moment to come. And I won't let it pass. So we say, I won't go back, can't go back to the way you used to be. For your presence came and changed me. Say, I won't go, I can't go back to the way it used to be. For your presence came and changed me. For my shame, they've been forgiven. Forgiven. No more shame. My past is over. It's over. Say right now. Right now it's over. Today I've been changed. Come on, somebody declare that. I've been changed. And I have waited. This moment right here, I've waited all my life. So we say, I won't go back, can't go back to the way for your grace came and changed. I need somebody to lift up your voice and declare, I won't go back, can't go back to the way for your grace came and changed. I've been saved, so I won't go back. There's nothing to go back to. No. Somebody say, I won't go back. Can't go back to the way you used to be. For your presence came and changed. Would you lift up your voice as loud as you can and say, I won't go back. I can't go back to the way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me. Come on, somebody lift your voice and declare and say, I won't go back. Can't go back to the way it used to be. The way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me. Somebody say, I won't go back. Say, I won't go back. Can't go back to the way it used to be. Before your presence came and changed me. Come on, just one more time. I won't go back. Can't go back to the way your desire? Is it your desire? Do you want more? I want more. I am yours, you are mine. Take my heart and my mind. Open the eyes of my heart to feel yourself, Lord. I want you, it's my desire. I am yours, you are mine. Take my heart and my mind. Open the eyes of my heart, reveal yourself, Lord. I want you, it's my desire. Oh, you are my desire. Oh, you are my desire.
Listening to Off the DL with your girl DL Augustine on holyhillsradio.com, the number one radio station in the country. I want to thank our guest tonight, Lisa Early. She's been on with us. We're talking about the subject of legacy tonight. And we have had some really heated conversations as far as what is our responsibility as far as related to legacy. So back to you said something really interesting when we were on break about how when you were young, how your mom had you guys working different community projects.
Oh, yeah.
Can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, number one, my mom has always, she loves the Lord, and God was always the center of our home. And she taught us that Christ is the greatest servant of all.
That's right.
And I think a lot of people forget that Christ was about serving.
Yes, that is
He
so
was
true.
He was the shining example of what servanthood is about. So my mom instilled in us as a young person about serving others. Like she would have us, for like elderly neighbors, she would have us go over and do their yard work. She would have us go over and see if they needed anybody to go to the grocery store for them,
That's
different
right.
things like
That's
that.
right.
And clean up around their house, or and then she had us involved in like different community projects at the church, and canvassing for politics and just all kinds of stuff.
I think that is so good. And I think and I wanted you to make that point because I want to know, I understand that a lot of you people out there in the listening audience are wondering like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how do I get started? What do I do? This is something that you can do. Your children, it's like you can start your children working on community projects. I think that's a great idea. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't do that, but I wasn't aware back then when my children were young. I'm just going to be honest with you. But this is something that you can do. This is something you can go to the churches, find out, look in the you don't even have to go that far. Go in your neighborhood, find your elderly people in your neighborhood. Teach your children to go rake their leaves. If there is snow on the ground, have your children go shovel the snow. I mean, it's all about service. It's all about service because that is how you build a legacy. You reach by reaching out and helping others and not actually just putting all the focus on yourself. We have a caller. Let me go to the line. Caller, you're listening. I lost him. Caller, call back in. If you're out there, I didn't get to you in time, but please call back. The thing with legacy, it's like baby steps. Just start out doing something small. Start out, just again, the neighborhood, But I thought that was a great point. I didn't want to leave that on the break because it was important enough for us to bring out again. But continue with what you said. I'm gonna see if the caller comes back. Okay. But continue with what you were saying.
And one thing, and I just thought about this, that people can do when we're talking about starting in our own backyards and with our own family, we can like do one Saturday, do a neighborhood cleanup.
Yes, that's great. That's a good
have the
idea.
children clean up the trash. And then I think too, because if you care about your neighborhood and you teach your children to care about your home and the community in which you live, it's just like in the Bible. If you're faithful over a few things, then He's gonna make you rule over many.
Yes,
So
I like that.
if they start out valuing their own communities, then their territory will be expanded. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and then they won't be so quick to throw trash in their neighborhood if they know that they have to clean it up.
That
too.
is true.
So it's kind of like a teachable moment,
I-
but while they're giving back. So
I
that
like
would just
that.
be an idea, just one thing. But like going to the local churches and going to the food pantry,
Yeah,
going to the homeless shelters,
those are all good
different
places
things
to
like
start.
that. Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the foundation.
Okay.
The name of the foundation is the Joseph L. Early Foundation. And it was started, like she talked about her brother, Joey. It's named after him, and it's in memoriam to him.
Mhm.
And I'm going to let you talk about that. Go ahead.
So the foundation, it's my mom's brainchild because my mom wanted to do a few things. Number one, she wanted to keep my brother's memory alive. Number one.
Yes.
So, and number two, she wanted to keep his memory alive by doing things that were important to him. And so because my brother was about mentoring and about, helping others, he had like a really big heart. He was a giver. Whenever he had to give, he would give until he had nothing left to give. So working with youth and with the fact that he was a single parent. So the focus of the foundation is to serve single parents because he was a single parent.
Okay.
We were raised in single parent, in a single parent home. So the focus is working with children, single parents and their children. So that is the focus. And out of that, we are in our infant stages of starting out. So right now we have, I guess you would say, 3 signature events that we do annually. The first being the annual scholarship.
Okay.
So in the fall, we have a local scholarship, and over the last 2 years, we've given out a $1,000 scholarship each year to a child from a single parent home.
Oh, great.
Just to kind of
Great.
give them book money, and so half the money goes to the child, like to purchase books and things like that. The other half goes to the school directly, just to supplement their financial aid.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. So, and our hope is to eventually not only be able to give more money, but to be able to give out renewable scholarships and to be able to give out multiple scholarships at the same time. That would be
great.
So that is our goal, to eventually get to that point. So again,
now your monies, do you get any kind of funding, any kind of assistance, or are you guys just getting this
right
on your
now,
own?
everything is we're doing our own fundraising
Okay.
through family and friends right now. But
Gotcha.
eventually we'll be in a position where we can apply for other funding, such as grants and things of that nature, and be able to partner with other organizations that can finance some of the things that we're doing. And so the scholarship, the scholarship application goes out in the fall.
Okay.
And then we have a scholarship luncheon in January where we actually award the scholarship to the recipient and honor him or her at the event. So,
Where do you get the names of the candidates for the scholarships?
We send out applications to local churches, to local schools, to some civic organizations, and then we have a deadline, and then they submit the information to us. We have a committee that selects to keep it objective and no bias. So we have a committee, a scholarship committee within the foundation. Well, actually, the people that are on the committee aren't necessarily on the board. They're just people who wanted to be a part of the scholarship committee, parents and different things. So we've been able to, so we identify a recipient, award them the scholarship at the luncheon in January. And then we have a youth talent explosion in
Oh,
the spring. And we had a youth talent explosion this year in April. And we partnered, we had some special guests from Cleveland
okay.
who came in and they did a phenomenal job.
I was at the last year's talent expo. It was so good.
And
It really
because our
was.
kids are so talented.
They really
But
are.
unfortunately, what you see on the news is
I know you
the
don't. That
knuckleheads
is
and
so
all of
true.
the foolishness, and you don't get to see all of the wonderful things that kids are
Yeah,
doing. Because that's
and
not,
they were
that's not
wonderful.
newsworthy,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's
The
true.
media is all about sensationalism and negativity,
That's true.
unfortunately. I mean, I'm just
Yeah, I
keeping it
do
100. That's
understand
what we
that.
see on the news. Because one time I was like, why don't we come? And they said, well, that's not really newsworthy. I'm thinking kids are getting some scholarships, but that's not newsworthy. Help me understand that one.
Now,
So,
is that your final event?
no, so the Youth Talent Explosion is the middle event that we do every year. And this year we're folding in the Youth Symposium later this summer on
Youth
July 23rd.
Symposium. What is that exactly?
Well, the Youth Symposium is going to have 4 sessions. And one of the sessions is admission, college admission, helping the children realize the value of a college education. And so have someone kind of talk to them and plant the seeds about what they need to do in order to begin preparing for college. Because the Youth Symposium is for ages 14 through 18.
Okay.
And then I think a lot of kids think that they can just, things magically change when they become 18, when you have to start before you're 14, thinking about a college education
That's
and
true.
preparation for college.
But a lot of these children are not in homes where those things are communicated, and not even in schools where they're communicated. So,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
well, you know, there's just not enough of a college going culture that exists, and we need to change that.
That's true, we do.
And so this is our small part, doing your part to kind of aid in that culture change.
I love that.
And so one of the sessions is about the college admission. The other session is about financial aid, and it's double financial aid / financial literacy. So we have a person that's going to talk about financial aid, and we have another person who's going to talk, just give them some tidbits about financial literacy, because a lot of times, like our kids, they don't know that it's not a good thing to let your family members get their gas and their electric in your name.
Right.
And the impact that can,
that is
the
so
long-term
true.
impact, that negative impact that can have on you. It's not a good thing to let your friends use your credit cards, because when they don't pay the bill, the creditors are calling you. So they're just little things.
Or let your friends get a cell phone under your plan.
Yes, not a good thing.
Not
So
a good thing.
The financial literacy piece, and like our little things, our kids don't know about saving. They don't know that you shouldn't get a credit card at 18 and go blow it up to $3,000, because that's going to follow you. So just having the importance of having good credit, those kinds of things, and learning from some of our mistakes.
Those are great things. So that's the third piece. There's one more piece.
So financial aid and financial literacy is actually the second one. The third one is social media, making,
and what do you do about
in social? Well, a lot of times these young kids, they say any and everything on social media.
Yeah.
Not realizing that you are branding yourself on social media.
And making a permanent record.
A permanent record in cyberspace.
And colleges are now going to your social media site and seeing what's out there.
There have been people whose college admission has been revoked.
Yes.
Because of negative images of them on social media.
Jobs have been lost.
Yes. Just all kinds of things. Yeah. And people don't realize it is very serious.
I mean, look at the young man that was in the draft. He dropped from number 1 to like third round.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and that cost him millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
It's like, and so I think that is excellent that you guys are trying to educate these kids about social media.
And maybe we're gonna, and the fourth piece is that we're gonna talk about entrepreneurship. We have a couple people who own their own businesses that will talk to the kids about, if you're interested in whatever your passion is, if you'd like to do a business within that passion, this is what you need to do to lay that foundation. So entrepreneurship,
That is so good.
social media, college admissions, financial aid, and financial literacy. So if all of the kids at the youth symposium have to go through each session, and then so we just rotate them through all of it. So everybody will get everything. So
I think now, if somebody wanted more information on your organization or wanted to assist in some way, how would they reach you?
They can email us at the Joseph L. Early, it's a long email, the Joseph L. Early Jr. Foundation at outlook.com.
And Early is with the EY, right?
Yes, ma'am. And if they send an email, then we'll follow up with them with anything. Or they can look for us on Facebook as well.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, that is actually, I mean.
Oh, we're going to give the students school supplies at the end of the youth symposium too.
Oh,
so.
perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
You know, I think I'm just, my hat is off to what you guys do. I know you do it with a pure heart. There's no second or hidden agendas here. You know, you're not trying to profit. You basically are trying to carry on a legacy for your brother and Miss Early's son. And I just admire your family so much. And I basically want to let you know if there's ever anything that I can do personally to assist with the organization, consider me available.
Yes.
So I do appreciate you coming onto the show today to share with us.
Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
What we're going to do, one thing that we're going to roll out in the fall is that we've been trying to roll out the mentoring piece, because that's very important. And our hope is to partner with one of the school districts here. And we're having some conversations because they need mentors, and we are looking for children to mentor.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation, meaning that we're able to help them and they're able to get the help that they need. So we're going to kind of start out. I have one of my former students, actually, she is working with a particular school, and so she and I are going to work together, and she just went through a program that has other young people like herself who are recent college graduates, and we're going to kind of tap into them and work together to kind of start building on the mentoring piece. So
that is so great. So listen, audience, if you're out there, if you're interested in mentoring, please contact the Joseph L. Early Jr. Foundation
at outlook.com.
Reach out to them, or if you're in need of mentoring, also, that would be something you could do as well. Because again, I do take my hat off to this organization because I know the heart behind what they do. And I thank you again for your time. And we're coming to that time again, family. We are about to come to a close. I want to thank everybody that took the time to listen today. I hope that something was said that stirred something up in you that would make you become aware of your responsibility, and not just to your family, but to your community and to the larger world, your culture, and just to the planet Earth. Because again, it was given to us to maintain. You know, we are to maintain it. And we can't do that if all we're doing is sitting around watching Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and just not really paying attention to what's going on in the world. Somebody's got to put their hand to the plow. And I thank God for this family who has done that and has done it with sincerity and a spirit of excellence. And really, my hat is off to you. And I'm going to do better. I'm going to just say that I'm going to commit to doing better. I do some, but I could do better. That's just an admission on my part. I'm going to do better. So, you know, I say when you know better, you do better. You should anyway. I'm about to. So I do thank you so much for your time. I really do. And again, in closing, I just like to say the question, am I my brother's keeper? The Bible says that you are. So what does that mean to you? It means that we cannot sit idly by and allow the world to be destroyed as we sit around and eat popcorn and watch TV.
a spectator.
Exactly, as a spectator, as my sister shared, I think that was the greatest. I love how you put that, as a spectator. And it's time to get up. It's time to get up. It's time to wake up. It's time to get busy and go out and do something to make a difference in this world. And making a difference is not always something big or spectacular. You make a difference with a small step first, baby steps, but commit to making a difference. Commit to doing more than you did last year. So in saying that, I just, again, want to thank everybody who tuned in, who listened. And I just say, may the grace of God go with you. May it surround you and protect you until that great trumpet sounds. And we know that the dead in Christ shall rise first. And we who are alive and remain shall be caught up to meet him in the air. Until that day comes, have a great day.
Amen.